All right, Josh. I think we've got one. It's gonna stump you. You're
All
you're never, not in a million years, are you ever gonna get this.
Never, ever. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
It, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna
Never
get.
going to get it.
Never gonna
Never
get
going to
it.
get it.
It's Catwoman. I can see the DVD in your hand.
Ouch.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the What Were They Thinking podcast, a podcast about bad to questionable movies. That is what we do on this show. My name is Brendan, and joining me is the Benjamin Bratt to my Halle Berry.
Oh, okay.
Nathan, introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your old pal Nathan here.
Yeah. So basically, our relationship is we're kind of into each other, but he also thinks I might be a villain.
But you know what? And actually, I deserve better than you because I am straight as an arrow. You know.
What?
I'm uncorruptible within my morals, despite the fact that I ended up being sort of corrupt at the end.
I thought you were just saying that straight as an arrow is like I can't be with a man, and so I'm.
No, that's not what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I thought you just really wanted us to know that Benjamin Bratt was not gay.
No,
Who is that voice on the other end? Well, that would be our guest, and we'll get to him.
You know, the one you heard
second.
in the cold open?
No, people don't. It's all out of order. It's like Memento. They're hearing this at the end. Nathan, we're talking about we're continuing Super Summer Flopbuster month.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a superhero movie, kind of, called Catwoman. I don't know, you guys heard of this one?
Yes.
And joining us, of course, because it is a superhero movie, joining us for one of two episodes this month, ladies and gentlemen, our returning guest, comic book expert extraordinaire, and number one fan of this version of Catwoman, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Kotsabasakis.
I guess I would do the cliche thank you for having me, but I don't know. I keep watching these movies and I'm wondering, what did I ever do to piss you guys off? I avoided this movie for 18 years.
And now you know that was a horrible mistake.
Yeah, and if
get
Nathan
my
is
list of grievances.
if Nathan is the Benjamin Bratt to your Halle Berry, I guess that will make me the lowest Griffin. Here. Alex Borstein.
Borstein?
We could have
Borstein. Borstein? What's her name?
It sounds like you're trying to say she's like one of the Berenstain Bears.
It all comes back to the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Because it's the Berenstain Bears.
Sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was going to say we could have called you Professor Ophelia.
See, that sounds bad because it's like first initials P and then Ophelia. That just sounds like a bad path, a dark path.
You said something different than what I thought you said.
For Professor Pedophilia? Is that what you thought he called you?
No, I said Profophilia.
Profophilia. So, speaking not of that,
Professor
guys,
Powers. I mean, we could just go with the last name and then be formal about it.
Catwoman. That's what we're talking about this week. Believe it or not, we're talking about Catwoman. 2005's Catwoman, directed by Pitof. Yes, that is one name. P-I-T-O-F. Pitof.
Guys, I was pretty Pitof after I first saw this movie. I'll tell you that much.
When his name popped up in the credits, obviously someone I've never heard of before.
What?
I have a question for you guys because I figured you would know. I thought to myself, and I wrote it in my notes, that sounds like the name of someone who would direct music videos. Is he someone who directs music videos?
As far as I know, he did.
Yeah. I think he's mostly like an artist type person more than a filmmaker, which you couldn't tell watching this movie. He seems born for this job. But yeah, this is Pitof's one and I think only movie. I think he has another credit, but I don't know if it's actually a movie. But this is his big chance to make a splash.
He did that to himself then.
Yeah, his big chance to make a splash, and it didn't go super well.
I read that he was considered for the director of Constantine, which would have been about a year after this movie.
I feel like this might have quashed those.
Yeah. I'm thinking this put a stop to that real quick.
Yeah. It's like when Colin Trevorrow directed that Book of Henry movie, and they were like, maybe Star Wars is not for you. But anyway, Catwoman, 2004 is when this movie came out. This stars Halle Berry, Benjamin Bratt, Sharon Stone, a bunch of other people.
Lois Griffin.
Yes, Alex Borstein is possibly one of the most thankless roles in cinema. She's literally in this movie to be like, so how's it going with the hunk? Like that's her entire role.
She is just a walking, talking ovulation. That's her entire role in this movie.
Plot. But to break down the plot of this movie real quick is, okay, so we want to have a female superhero movie. So what will they want to see in a female superhero movie? Well, clearly the plot should be about makeup and beauty products because, of course, what else are we going to do? But Patience Phillips, who, by the way, I don't
is not Selena Kyle.
Yeah, that's not even Catwoman's real name in anything. But Patience Phillips is a young lady played by Halle Berry. She works for a beauty line, her beauty cream. She's like a graphic designer or something like that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And she finds out that this product is maybe not good for people's skin, and it's actually making them turn into horrible monsters. When she finds out, she is taken care of, or so they think. They think they've killed her, but nope, she's brought back to life by cats in a hilarious scene that we will go into in a bit. And she becomes Catwoman, and not the Catwoman you know from the comics, although they want to be that, but they also want to be nothing like that at the same time.
I don't understand.
Understand. It's technically recognized as like a DC character, I think. Like they borrowed the name.
The name, yeah.
Well, it says
it's right like Lawnmower Man with Stephen King.
Yeah.
It says right in the credits, based on characters created by Bob Kane and DC Comics.
And based on, guys, we mean it in the loosest sense possible.
Yeah, we're gonna borrow her name and give her sexy leather outfit
and a whip.
By the way, I gotta say, Halle Berry is a beautiful woman. That outfit is terrible. That is one of the worst superhero outfits.
Well, we can argue when we get to it.
It's not practical either.
Yes, exactly. It goes back to the rule of RPGs where dudes get like huge chonky armor and girls get like, midriff bearing, I don't know, iron bras, and they're apparently just as high on defense as the huge chonky armor that the guy character gets.
Yeah, you really can't tell that this movie was directed by a man. There's only 1,200 shots of her ass when she's walking around as Catwoman.
And those hips don't lie.
No. But
be fair, you can't really tell it's directed by a director.
That's fair. It's true. Well, a male of some species, let's say. But yeah, anyway, so she finds out she's reborn as Catwoman, and she falls for Benjamin Bratt, who is a cop. So complications arise there. She tries to take down the organization now that she knows what's going on, and hilarity unintentionally ensues.
Very much so.
Because there are some funny parts of this movie. So much so we start off right away. I was already laughing because we start off the opening credits and we're just showing all these ancient drawings of cats through history. And first it's like Egyptian cats and stuff. And then it's just like straight up house cats. And then it's like famous cats. And I'm like, what are we doing?
I just noted that ancient civilizations should sue for their being used in this movie without their permission, because this is detrimental to their brand.
100%. But didn't it also seem to you guys though that like at some point it felt like they were running out of images to show?
Yeah, they're
It
showing
looked
like
this.
women acrobats dressed as cats and things like that.
Yeah.
The word cat cult just appeared randomly at one point. I actually had it in my notes. I said, in case you didn't know what you were about to watch, the opening credits really made sure to remind you that this is a cat-centric movie.
Really hammer it home that there might be some cat material in this movie.
Well, it's so funny because, like, if you go to a Batman movie, the opening credits aren't a bunch of caves and bats, and then
It should be.
like Dracula capes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
Do you think Pitof was like, well, no one will know what we are talking about. Of course, I must show all cats all the time.
Cats after cats.
They shall.
It just cuts to footage of the Broadway stage play of cats.
So they had what 7 writing credits in total in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always a good sign. After these 20-minute opening credits, we hear Halle Berry's opening voiceover. Again, she plays Patience Phillips. She's in the water. She says, "I was only truly born the day that I died. That was the day I started living, baby."
And I finished her sentence before she did, because I knew, like, I was like, the day I died was, and I was like, the day that you began to live.
Yeah.
The day I started to live.
And right away we're getting Halle Berry, who you can't make Halle Berry ugly. You can't. It's just, or you can't make her awkward. You can make her look nerdy if you want. She's always gonna look like gorgeous Halle Berry, because right away she's got glasses on, she's fumbling around, she's very like clumsy, and I'm like, yeah, but we know it's fucking the gorgeous actress
fucking
Halle
Berry. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but there's a part where she changes her hair in this movie, and I was like, "Aw." I kind of dug the long hair.
Oh yeah, no, me too. But I mean, honestly, she can pull off almost anything. And so she's at her job. She's designing ads for this beauty cream called Beuline, which I thought was weird pronunciation of the product, but whatever. And she's hanging out with her buddy Alex Borstein, of course, who talks about who uses the cream all the time and said, "Ooh, my brain feels tight. Stay tuned."
Peter.
Again, the most thankless, pointless character in this whole movie. Nothing against Alex Borstein, but goddamn, she gets nothing to do.
Well, that could have been. It's nothing against her. It could have been anybody in that role, and it would have been pointless.
Well, that's what I mean. Like she's literally hired like a funny comedian, and they were like, okay, so just talk about how hot Benjamin Bratt is for 90 minutes. She's like, okay.
This is also, it's going back to just Halle Berry about, it's impossible to make her awkward or ugly or anything. They spend the first few minutes of her on screen talking about how unremarkable she is and how boring she is and how out of place she is and how she's talentless. And then she walks into the building, and the first character to have a line other than Halle Berry, who is Alex Borstein, says, "You're the most talented one in this whole company." I was like, well, didn't you just spend 5 minutes telling us how lame and how much she sucks? Now she's the most talented one in the entire multi-million-dollar corporation.
7 fucking writers. So we also meet Laurel. Laurel, is that her name in this movie? Sharon Stone?
Yeah, I think
I actually never knew.
Laurel and George.
Yeah, Laurel and George, the crime busters of the sea. Laurel finds out that, she announces that she's stepping aside as the face of the company.
That was like the most passive aggressive board meeting I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I mean, it's very much a thing where I think she's supposed to be like, I think probably Sharon Stone was like around 50 at the time, but she's being pushed out in favor of a much younger supermodel to be the face of the company. And she's clearly not too happy with it. I'm going to say right now too, Sharon Stone understands the assignment in this movie. I think she's great.
Yeah, she knew that she was just having fun.
Oh yeah. I don't think anyone's really like bad in it, like as they're trying as much as they can be, but Sharon Stone is just snacking on that scenery.
Ed And I would be remiss to say that she wasn't still just a stone cold fox in this movie.
Yeah, of course. Always.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
But remember, she's old and hideous in this movie.
Yes. 50. Ooh. So she is clearly at odds with her husband, George, played by Lambert Wilson.
Okay.
Patience walks into the office at this point, and there's some tension going on, and George is like trying to point out the flaws in Patience's graphic designs. This red should be darker and stuff like that. And Laurel is actually
like, well, you actually had said that you had wanted. I know what I said. So I'm like, right away, you're like, okay, George is a putz. Like
George is a putz.
I don't
and
care.
he
if
has
he's running
no
a
patience for patience.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh.
Oh, settle in, because I'm sure there's going to be more than a few of those.
Meow. Luckily, Laurel does actually stand up for Patience a little bit and just let her fix it by tomorrow night. See, they're going to be friends. This movie tells us right now, Sharon Stone, the hero.
One of the good ones.
One of the good ones. Patience. So that night, Patience is in her apartment. She deals with some loud street partiers, which gave me some considerable amount of PTSD, considering where I used to live and my awful neighbors. She does see a cat though, and makes a friend
from Mars. A biker cat from Mars.
Did you notice the bike, by the way, that the cat was sitting on?
No.
It wasn't a Harley. It wasn't a Kawasaki.
No, don't say
it. It was a Ducati.
Ducati. Very good.
Well,
I actually looked at the brand because I thought I guarantee this is going to be a Ducati.
There is a moment later, and I don't know when it happened, so I'm just going to say it now, where she's running around and there's like an electrical box, and the picture that warns you, like, don't go near this, you'll get electrocuted, is a picture of a cat. With bolts coming, like lightning bolts coming out of it. I'm like, what? Why would that? Why? What?
Because I am Pitof and I am brilliant.
That's actually a real warning. That cat getting electrocuted thing.
But why would it be there though?
Well, I don't know. But I mean, obviously it was done by design. It is a real warning on things for some reason.
So next day, there's a little cat that comes in comes by the windowsill named Midnight. We find out later, and it climbs up onto a ledge. And Halle Berry's first instinct is like, I better get that cat down. I'm like, that cat is fine.
The cat's
she's
fine.
Gotta save the cat.
And I love my dog. I love my two little cats. I'm not climbing out on a New York City building with 3 inches of ledge to try and save my pet from.
Well, that's the thing, because you're not going to be able to save it.
The thing is about it too is that when she climbs out onto the ledge, there's also an air conditioning unit sticking, which is a large platform for a cat to land on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A cat that might weigh 7 pounds.
I see that and I'm like, yeah, that cat probably would have been fine. Just fine where it was. I mean, sure, she's never going to become Catwoman, but I mean, that cat's going to be fine. She doesn't need to risk life and limb.
Well, guys, she doesn't become Catwoman here because at convenient timing, we get an appearance from Benjamin Bratt in this movie playing a character called, and I'm not making this up, Tom Lone, as in he's a lone wolf. Get it? Alone? Huh? And he drives by.
And a tomcat. He was a real tomcat.
Oh, there you go. He drives by and sees this sight of Halle Berry on the ledge, and he says, well, this crazy woman is trying to kill herself, which I mean is a pretty good guess if you see something like this. Luckily, he does manage to get up the stairs and run into her apartment, which was, I guess, unlocked
in record time.
Also, he had to figure that out because that doesn't tell you what floor it is.
No,
23 could be anywhere.
She said what's your apartment number? 23. So I'm guessing all the apartments in the place it's gonna be the situation when you go up one flight of stairs and there'll be a sign that says apartments 1 through 12 this way, 12 through 18 this way, and then the next floor will be 19 to 22 this way, 23 to blah 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 this way.
Well,
it took you longer to explain that logic than it did for Benjamin Bratt to get out of his car into the building and up to her apartment.
Well, he's a fast runner.
I will say this though.
New York's finest.
The craziest thing, first of all, the PTSD with the loud partiers is one thing, but then they say apartment 23, which was actually my apartment number in that building, and my building didn't have that. Like, if you wanted to find the apartment number, you just had to kind of guess. There was no signs that said this is where apartment blah 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 to blah 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 is. So it might not have said that. He might have just guessed.
Well, he's very good at his job.
He is a
of
detective.
Being a detective. So
He's just looking around for clues as to where the apartment could be. So he saves her, and it looks like the cat's disappeared, but the cat actually made its way into the apartment, and he managed to save her, and she's like, oh shit, I gotta go to work still. So she like runs off, and the craziest thing is she drops her wallet, and she's not far. He sees that she's dropped her wallet, and he just passively picks it up and kind of looks at it, and then looks out towards where she was, and then like starts rifling through it. And I'm like, you had so much time to be like, hey, wallet, throw it to her. Like, why are you slowly looking through her?
So he can do a recon on her where she works and the stuff that she's into.
That was creepy. A little
He
creepy.
legitimately does that. Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I mean. It was a little bit creepy.
if you can't
Sharon
trust the
Stone.
police, who can you trust, Brendan?
Oh, it's a loaded thing to say. Back at the beauty company, George has an offhand line where he says like, "Oh, those damn scientists won't stop calling me. They're worse than models." And I'm like, they might be trying to tell you something important, dude. You may want to take that call from your scientist team.
Putz.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tom Lone, Benjamin Bratt, arrives to
Or man sandwich as he is introduced by someone on the floor.
which wouldn't that have to be two men?
There would have to be at least three.
Yeah.
Because there would have to be 2 slices of bread, and whatever's in the middle of the bread, that's a sandwich.
Yeah, 2 slices of man and the man in the middle.
Right.
Why also didn't they go with Manwich?
In the middle?
Because this movie has 7 writers, Josh.
And they couldn't be bothered to come up with a better term than man sandwich.
49 rewrites, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
in the first month.
Allegory, Montessori.
Yep.
$3.99 a minute.
It's really a really convincing I'm nervous around the hunk performance here.
Which is weird because she does nothing but like practically grope and whilst ogling male doctors at the hospital later.
Oh, she's very inappropriate around everyone. But yeah, he was like basically he shows up and he's talking to Halle Berry. We also get the stereotypical like gay coworker, and I was actually shocked.
He's the one who introduced the man sandwich.
Well, I was shocked that he wasn't a more major character, because I figured like this movie, the way it was going, I figured we'd have the gay best friend that was like, girlfriend, you got to get that man, like stuff like that.
Yeah. I actually looked that actor up too, and because I thought, man, this is a 2004 movie, and I thought he was going to be in it more too, and I was like, they definitely just hired like some straight dude to play an over the top gay guy to like poke fun at or whatever, but no, he's actually he's actually part of the LGBTQ community. But I thought for sure it was going to be the other way around, where they hired some regular dude and he was going to be playing the over-the-top stereotypical gay man.
But I also wouldn't be shocked if they did, even though they hired a gay man, if they told him, like, really gay it up.
Yeah, you just come and flaming.
You just gad about a bit, maybe dance some of them. Do you have boas?
Do you have any mesh shirts that you could wear to the office?
Can you just be sucking a dick while you walk in? Like, can we do that? Is that too much to ask? Look, we can make Catwoman rated R. Just we need this shot.
And people need to know that you're gay.
They might not be able to tell otherwise.
Can you hold this picture up of RuPaul in your hands? Well, I think it would be kind of awkward for this business. You want me to just hold it like I'm holding a headshot? Yes, please.
Oh, no, I got it. We'll put it around your neck like Flava Flav's clock, but it'll be a picture of RuPaul on a giant gold chain.
But the gist of this is that he had about 10 seconds of screen time, and everybody and their dog knew that he was very gay.
Yeah, exactly. So he does. Benjamin Bratt does manage to get a coffee date with her, and I just think it's so funny that Halle Berry is playing this character that's acting all like shy and sheepish. I'm like, girl, you can easily land this guy.
And Sally, that's Alex Borstein's character.
Oh, is that her
says,
name?
Yeah, you need to wear that leather outfit, and she sheepishly, I'll never wear that leather outfit.
Oh. My next note is, oof, the CGI sweeping shots of the city are rough. Sorry to insert a dog pun, but they're bad.
Careful. Focus here. We're doing Air Bud at another time. Yeah, and she has to do like a bunch of work because she's going to fix that, the mistake that was not a mistake for George there. And
the artwork, yes.
Yeah, and so she has to take her finished product over to like their headquarters. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that, but
yeah, did you notice too that what time it was?
11:43.
11:43. So at 11:43 p.m. she called the bike messenger people to ask if they were going to come to pick up her parcel that she needs delivered across town by midnight.
Well, I think
she waited 17 minutes to be like, hey, wait a minute, where are they?
I think the idea was they were gonna be there already, but that she was like, why aren't they here yet? It's getting close or something. That's what I thought was. That's what I mean. But like, why? Like, you would think at a place like New York City, you probably want to make that call to figure out why they're not there prior to 17 minutes before it needs to be delivered.
And also, I don't think that's the biggest inconsistency in this is what comes next is when she takes it over to headquarters herself. The front door is locked down tighter than a drum, but the restricted area where people are discussing clandestine plans to poison the populace with this beauty cream is wide open. Anybody can just walk in. And no security swipe cards required whatsoever.
Nope. And she walks right in and she hears George talking to the scientist about the problems with the, like you said, it's poisoning people. It's making their faces all fucked up. And George is like, this is the worst side effect. I don't want this side effect. I don't care about the headaches and the nausea. But if you
thought that was the scientist saying that.
No, that was George because
I thought the scientist was actually talking to Sharon Stone.
Yeah, George. I think Nathan's right. I don't think George is in this.
George
scene.
Doesn't know about what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
George wasn't in the scene. It was whoever their marketing people are and whoever their scientist people were and Sharon Stone.
Well, I don't think you see Sharon Stone in this scene, though.
You don't, but you definitely hear her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, we find out that this beauty cream is not good. And they spot patients and immediately open fire. Like, listen, I know what's going down is super confidential, but I don't think they would resort to that quickly. I think
it immediately pulls out a firearm, shoots at an innocent, and his buddy goes, "Hey, don't ever do that again." Like he was a toddler who just flushed some car keys down the toilet or something.
Laurel. Sharon Stone's character's name is Laurel.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was Laurel or Laurel.
Yeah, and here's an interesting tidbit. The chap who did the shooting, who tried to kill Catwoman, was the fellow who played Fun Boy in The Crow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought her name was Yanny.
Very good. Although it was a very nice blue and white dress that she had on.
Very topical. Speaking of topical, beauty cream. So she's running.
See? Buckle in, folks. Puns.
She's running through she's running away from the security guards that are just open firing on an innocent, like Josh said. She goes into the where we find out is the waste treatment, and they simply flush it out, and she gets knocked to the outside of the building by a massive flow of disgusting water.
But don't worry, folks. This is where she started to live.
This is where she started to live, because we're back to the beginning of the movie. She's not dead, guys. She is surrounded by a bunch of CGI cats, which was horrifying. Not since the movie Cats have I been more horrified by CGI cats.
I was watching, and I thought to myself, like, why didn't they just use like real cats?
Well, I'm guessing it would have been tough to do this one shot coming up where a cat looks into her mouth and barfs its essence into her.
They should have just got the cat puppet from Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. He looked legit.
They probably got Frank Welker to do the voice.
So the cat's midnight burps its essence into patients.
It was at this point where I wrote, "This is the worst origin ever."
Even more so than the Toxic Avenger.
And then Academy Award winner Halle Berry starts pawing at spiders and swatting at birds. And while trying to figure out if she has indeed become a Catwoman, she also finds out she could jump up super high. And then for some reason breaks into her own house by smashing the window in the balcony. You know, like cats do.
And then sleeps up real high because that's what cats do.
Yeah.
That was another note I had, is why is she breaking into her own apartment?
And that's not even a cat thing. What, the cats don't smash glass windows.
Yeah, it would have been more on brand for her to stand outside her own window and just paw at the glass, going meow,
right?
Meow.
Yeah.
And then when someone finally let her in, just doesn't come in.
Yeah, just turns around and walks away.
or comes in and then paws at the glass again to get out. Yeah.
You little asshole.
So because of this whole thing, because she passes out, she misses her date the next day with Tom. Oh no, Tom Lone is all alone. Patience does see a little note on Midnight's collar though, and it says that he's owned by a woman named Ophelia Powers, who is played by Frances Fisher. She's the owner of the cat. She goes to her house and she's like a crazy cat lady. And the best part of this is Halle Berry's immediately put off by this whole thing. So to test her, Ophelia quickly throws her like a catnip toy, and Halle Berry just she's like a cat. She just puts her face like all in the catnip toy, and I was like, Oscar-winning actress Halle Berry, ladies and gentlemen, forced to shove her face into a catnip toy.
Could you imagine if they tried this bullshit with Zoe Kravitz and the Batman?
Oh my god!
Just randomly, she's just rubbing cat toys against her face, trying to talk to Robert Pattinson. You're revenged, aren't you?
I mean, to some extent, they did it a little bit with Michelle Pfeiffer, but at least in that movie, it wasn't. It's different though. It's still different.
Well, Peter Parker, right? He doesn't act like a spider.
No, he just does the abilities. Well, unless he becomes the man spider.
Right. He doesn't act like a spider.
Yeah. Batman doesn't act like a bat, really.
Yeah. No other character that has, superhero is just full on into the gimmick.
Yeah.
Like Halle Berry is.
Like Scott doesn't just act like an ant.
Yeah.
It's not Ant-Man. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't understand why they want it to be Catwoman and then they don't want it to be Catwoman at the same time.
I also love that she thought this old lady was so weird that she went there looking for answers. She met this lady for like 3 seconds and immediately the red flags went up and she's like, "Hey, I got to get out of here. I got to be any place else."
Mhm. But she gets out only to get berated by George, because she didn't deliver the artwork. And by the way, remember this scene for a second, that George does see her after the scene where we think that she's or that where it looks like she's died. Let's just remember that for a second. That'll come back up later, because there's a big continuity thing in this movie. I know what you're thinking, guys. Continuity errors in Catwoman, a Pitof film? But yeah, it does come up. But he starts chewing her out, and then she just has that Catwoman attitude, and she's calling him like an untalented, unethical egomaniac. She's sorry she ever worked for him. And because this is like a 2004 almost rom-com up to this point, we get like a slow clap from the coworkers in the office, which happened a lot more in movies than in real life around this time. She's hanging out with Alex Borstein again. She hisses at a couple dogs that walk by.
And then they stop to do some window shopping, and Borstein just goes down like Frasier.
Just passes the fuck out. Oh, God. I had to stop because every time someone references that, I laugh. It's such a ridiculous fall.
Okay, so she...
Oh,
all right.
God.
I was hoping this would come
dear.
up because this was something else that I missed.
of Alex Borstein passing out.
Yeah, like eventually she's in the hospital. It's like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, she just faints here.
Okay.
From the beauty cream or whatever. And there's just a lot of between, like, she's in the hospital, she's fine for the rest of the movie, but there's just a lot of like, hey girl, where's that hot dude? Give me some brown sugar, and I'm like,
yes,
yep.
Yep.
That one.
Yep.
She also roofied her doctor at one point.
Yeah, she's a villain.
Probably.
She roofied her doctor. Okay.
It's off screen, but it
yeah, I just assumed it happened.
Okay. And then he develop Stockholm syndrome.
Probably. So after she ends up at the hospital, we see Tom talking to some kids about being a cop. I guess he's just doing like a hey, I'm your local cop kind of thing.
Well, no, I think he's working at like a community center. He's doing like volunteering, because he also takes them out to play basketball afterwards.
Holy shit, guys!
And that is one of the most wildly inappropriate one-on-one game I've ever seen performed in front of kids. I mean, it was more inappropriate than the playground fight in Daredevil.
I was about to say, this gives me huge Daredevil vibes.
Yeah.
With the fight on the...
My full-on note is because the kids are like playing basketball with him at first, and then he's like, what, you want me to go one-on-one with you with patience? And the kids are like, yeah, do it. We want to watch people play basketball. And then I wrote down, like, this is too much sexual tension for children.
She's like shaking her ass, and he's like hypnotized by it. Yeah. And then she's got like her hands on it, like around his hips and stuff when he's trying to. I'm like, there are children present.
And then they end with like.
Then she starts blowing them in front of the kids.
Yeah, just full on, like just sucking that dick. But they.
This was the scene too where I wrote, every scene in this movie looks like a music video.
Oh my god, the editing in this scene is crazy. I didn't even know what was going on. If you'd said who's winning this game, I'd say not any of us. That's all I can tell you.
It's like Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose.
But it ends with them on top of each other too, and they have like a momentary stare, and I'm like, children behind you.
Yeah, she's straddling him, and then like a kid is actually like, hey man, can I have my ball back? Like,
so can we play basketball now? So that happens. Meanwhile, Sharon Stone is Laurel is super upset about the new model still, because apparently George is just like her husband is just like dating her now.
Yeah, because I mean that's the general vibe throughout the movie, is that he's just a philanderer. Yeah. I want to talk more about why Halle Berry needed to eat all the tuna.
Oh my god!
Like it was a scene like if a cat could buy its own groceries, this is what it would look like.
I'm happy it was tuna. I thought it was wet cat food.
Oh no, I think it's tuna.
At least it was tuna.
Which makes me consider what happens later. I don't know why she just didn't go to a seafood market and buy fresh fish.
Well, I'm guessing she looked through her cupboard and just saw that she had tuna, and then suddenly was like, I want it all. But again, the things that Halle Berry does in this movie and looks and they make her out to look so ridiculous, but like, I don't know, I'm not saying like this is a slam dunk performance or anything, but she definitely does all that she can possibly do to make this work.
Yeah, especially in the next scene where she assaults the party.
She's not half-assing it. That's for damn sure. But she's eating a bunch of tuna. We get more phone call this time with Alex Borstein, where she's like, oh girl, that boy fine, and stuff like that, blah blah blah. And now that she's full kitty, she has none of that. She's having none of that noise from the neighbors. So like you said, Nathan, she goes over there, she kicks the fucking door down and just shuts everything down, uses the beer hose to short circuit the speakers.
Which I don't necessarily know if the way she did it would have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some questions.
This was also
she just sprayed the speaker drums. She didn't actually spray the upper part where all the electrical pieces would have been.
This was also the origin of her whip.
Oh yes, yeah. Because when she's done spraying it, she yanks the thing out of the bar top and then uses it, and then she goes full on Eartha Kitt and thanks him for. I had a perfect time, like at the party. I'm like, Okay, now look, movie. I want you to settle. I want you to do one thing or the other. All right, it's either Batman's Catwoman or it's something else entirely. Please, please don't mesh the two.
I actually love that part because it did remind me of Earthkit.
Well, buckle in.
Like, if you're going to be this ridiculous, you might as well just go full 66 Batman camp.
Yes.
Just buckle in because if you like cat puns, well, this is where they start.
This is the movie for you.
This is the movie for you. She gets out of there. She gives herself a haircut, which Josh had some strong words about. She puts on her leather jacket and jumps on some dude's motorcycle
it's the leather suit that she swore she'd never wear.
Yeah, but I mean, she jumps on like some other guy's motorcycle though, because you hear him going like, "Hey, that's my bike," and it's one of the worst driving sequences on film. Like it's like the basketball scene. It's just like, what's going on right now?
Oh, she drives under the same breezeway 4 times.
Yeah.
And past the same CIBC, because this was filmed in Vancouver. She drives past the same CIBC at least 3 times.
And she this is the first of 2 Grand Theft Auto.
She goes into a jewelry store, but to her credit, Josh, in this movie, she doesn't steal a car by pretending she's gonna be sick. But she does go to a.
What's wrong with you? I have a hairball.
I think I'm getting sick.
She does go into a jewelry store though and stop a bunch of thieves. And the cat puns are just rolling one after the other. What a perfect idea! Meow, all that stuff.
And this was the part where I wrote in my notes, I can't believe how much cat imagery is in modern society. Every jewel in this jewelry store had something to do with a cat in one way or another.
Josh, it's been there the whole time. You just never opened your eyes. Like, look at all those pictures behind you. They're all cats. You know what I mean? Pitof is just bringing us into the light. He's just showing us what we don't really take the time to look at. You could say this movie's brilliant.
You could, but you'd be lying.
Did you guys think that the Catwoman jumping around CGI was pretty good?
Oh my god. I for a PlayStation 2 game, yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of Spider-Man. As much as I love the first Spider-Man movie, it looked like when Peter was chasing the burglar.
Yeah, because the first Spider-Man, I mean, to be fair, that was 3 years, I think, or 2 years before this. So the fact that it got worse in this movie, Patience feels bad and returns the jewels the next day along with some cupcakes. Oh, which we should point out.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Oh, she keeps that claw necklace because that's what she makes her little claws.
She makes her little diamond claws. Right,
yeah.
right. But I will mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when she unintentionally stood up Tom Lone, she wrote "sorry" on a coffee cup and gave it to him. Now, keep in mind, this was days ago. On the bag with the jewels, she writes "sorry" and returns most of the jewels. What follows is a reoccurring trope of these bad movies is a hilarious like Google search scene. She searches cats.women.
Which gonna get you some results.
It's not gonna get you results on Egyptian Catwoman though, that's for sure.
No.
Then she searches the cat in history. I wrote down like, so all 7 of these writers were 65-year-old men who have never used the internet.
Yeah, because my note on this was like, she's gonna stumble across I Can Has Cheeseburger.
Stumble across what?
I Can Has Cheeseburger? How do you? That's where all the cat memes back in the day started.
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh,
I thought that was the name of like one of those weird like gross out videos.
No, I Can Has Cheeseburger is it's just a cat meowing at next to somebody's cheeseburger, and someone memed it and said I Can Has Cheeseburger.
Has cheese. Okay.
Right. It's all written out like the way they think a cat would talk or type if they could type or talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. No, I never knew that.
Figured of all the people.
But yeah, no, this movie doesn't know how the internet works. She eventually just finds a bunch of stuff about Egyptian cats, and it goes nowhere because she's just like, well, I'll just go go back to visit Ophelia again. And this is really
did you catch? Sorry, did you? I know this movie is supposed to be like, sisters are doing it for themselves kind of stuff. There was a part during the investigation where there's like two cops walking off screen talking about because the robbers described how patients behaved, jumping around like a cat and meowing and saying cat puns and stuff like that. Hey, what are we gonna call her? Like a cat chick? No, we'll call her Cat Broad. I was like, fuck off, movie.
Would have something else if this movie was called Cat Broad, and they were like, see, it's not quite the character. We can do this.
Hey,
exactly.
Where's Miss Kitty?
What, she's fucking Jerry Lawler's underage girlfriend? Not underage, to be fair, but, pretty close to it.
If they made this movie as Cat Broad, they could have got Andrew Dice Clay to beat Tom Lone. I'm trying to solve a crime over here.
Got this friggin' Cat Broad. But you know what? It would be more believable that he wouldn't know who Catwoman is because he's really stupid.
Please see our episode on The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
That's an old one.
It's a great
oldie. Patience, there's a big exposition dump here. Ophelia tells her that basically she died and was reborn. That crazy CGI
cat. Before this though, Ophelia says to her, "What happened to you the other night?" And Halle Berry's like, "I have no idea." And she's like, "Well, I'll tell you."
Yeah, Professor Ophelia explains it all.
She does, yeah. She's like, the crazy CGI cat was testing to see if you were worthy of the cat gift she was
there was
you.
A dig at the patriarchy, because she was a professor until she was denied tenure over a male professor, and then she was like, fuck academia.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say fuck academia, so it's not far off from the truth. And she proves that she's, a full-on Catwoman by Ophelia just pushes her off the balcony, and of course she lands on her feet, and she's like, "See? I
could have been killed."
And then she gives her her Catwoman mask, and tells her, you got to accept this challenge. You're Catwoman now. You gotta be Catwoman. And I'm like, who? What? What does she gotta be? I don't get it.
This was the Michelle Pfeiffer cameo too.
Was it?
Yeah, this is the Michelle Pfeiffer cameo. She throws a bunch of pictures down of Catwomen of the past, and front and center is Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns.
I didn't even see that.
Guys, how great would it have been if it was like Michelle Pfeiffer, but it was like Michelle Pfeiffer from Scarface?
Dangerous Minds.
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer from What Lies Beneath.
When she gave her like the Catwoman face mask helmet thing, I was like, why? I felt like the jewel encrusted one that she put on to disguise herself during the when she interrupted the burglary was a far more fitting Catwoman mask than this thing was.
Well, that would be stealing, Nathan.
She stole the necklace to make her claws.
Yeah, but that was just one item.
Right, but it was still part of her costume, so I could certainly reason it away. And I also feel that the necklace that she stole was far more expensive and valuable than the mask that she was wearing, because the lady who ran the jewelry store actually said, that piece is ancient. It's one of a kind. And she ruined it and put it on her fingers.
Mm-hmm. She also stole a bike and a car, but that's besides the point. The mask was off limits. I feel that the
necklace was probably valued at more.
Listen, Catwoman commits a lot of felinese.
Really stretching on that one, pal.
Worth it. So after we spend 10 minutes on her butt, well, she's got her new costume on. That's probably one of the worst superhero costumes ever.
She should have just left it alone, because she basically tore apart the leather outfit that she wore the first night she went out. If she had just gone out with that leather outfit, she'd have been fine. It's form-fitting, it's sexy, and it actually prevents her from leaving DNA behind.
Yep. But nope.
Her X-Men outfit was actually a better Catwoman outfit.
It's true. It's true. But she is looking for.
Sorry, I was just gonna say too. Like, is this the longest origin ever? Because it's 55 minutes, and we're just seeing her in full Catwoman.
I'd say it's second longest origin behind Fanforstic.
That's fair.
If you remember, that movie was about an hour and 15 minutes of origin, and then 20 minutes of a fight with Dr. Doom, and like they were in jail, and then the movie ended.
Right. I hate that movie. Anyway, I just.
So Catwoman, she's looking for her killer, the one that ordered the pipes to be flushed and her to be, shot out of the like a fucking cannon. And she goes up to the bar. She's following the guy in full costume, which I thought was hilarious. And she's like, "White Russian, hold the ice, no vodka." Get it, guys? She just wants cream.
Yeah.
Instead of going after the guy, even though she can clearly see him, Catwoman just starts dancing.
There's no bouncers at this bar.
No bounds. Nobody's stopping this crazy lady in a costume from like
With
snapping
the
her
whip.
whip around. Yeah. But she eventually gets up to him, and there's a fight scene that breaks out into the alley. She obviously kicks his ass, and
I want to know how in this entire movie there wasn't a single joke about the Russ Myers film Kitten with a Whip.
I mean, I barely know what that is.
You know the title. That's the joke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe if Roger Ebert had written this movie, he would have put in a joke about it.
8 credits then,
So she kicks his ass, and we find out about this cover up being done by a beauty company. There's a cover up, And she breaks into the lab and finds, the head scientist has been shot. And some Paul Scheer looking nerd spots her and starts just assumes that she's murdered this guy. And of course, the news is saying Catwoman's a murderer, blah, blah, blah. And, she's in trouble now. She finally also at this point tells Alex Borstein you shouldn't use that beauty cream. Like, you found out about this in minute 12. That should have been your first thing to tell your best friend to stop using this deadly cream. I mean, I would think.
But I mean, I don't think she remembers most of the night that she died / started living, though.
True.
So.
But she did remember that there was something off about the cream, though, didn't she?
She remembers there was something vaguely off about the cream because that's when it kind of comes running back to her in this moment.
Yeah.
But she doesn't remember so much that she doesn't remember that George wasn't there, and she thinks that Laurel is her friend.
Right.
Yeah.
It's at this point where Tom is getting a little suspicious. He should know immediately that they're the same person, but he thinks that Patience might be Catwoman, and he asks one of his fellow officers, "Hey, tell me something." This is one of the dumbest things ever. Would your wife crawl out of a building to rescue a stray cat? And he says, "Maybe if the cat was holding a pizza."
Broads, right? They're always eating.
What a weird joke.
I mean, if you're gonna,
if it was holding a pair of shoes or a Louis Vuitton,
at least I could accept. I could accept an accurate misogyny, just not some random word salad.
Yeah, well, the cat was holding a pizza. What? Wait, is your wife? Or is that just an Italian joke?
Are you saying your wife's fat? I don't get where you're going with this one.
And then Josh mentioned before we
I've met several wives who would indeed crawl out on a ledge to save a cat.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they weren't holding a pizza.
Right, just to save a cat.
Yep. Josh, you mentioned that you had missed this scene. I feel so bad for you, but this is a great scene coming up here. Tom is looking at the note on the bag where the jewels are returned that says sorry, and then he looks at his coffee cup, which he still has.
Yeah.
Why does he still have that coffee cup from 4 days ago?
Was he gonna put it in his memory box?
But
in case their relationship went super far and they got married, and he'd be able to tell his kids one day, she missed our first date, but she made it up for me with this cup. Dad, that's got a bunch of mold all over it. Also, I'm pretty sure it's eaten most of the cup away. And you know what? It's flaking off, and you're probably giving us some sort of carcinogenic element being introduced into our airstreams. You should probably get rid of that, Dad. But it says, sorry, son. I know, but you're killing us all. And
Family be damned. I need the cup.
Right.
But it's so weird that he still has that cup. Anyway, he's like, oh shit, this handwriting looks similar to this handwriting, which, by the way, he didn't need to do an analysis. You clearly look at that, and it's very distinctively the same fucking handwriting.
Not according to the forensic handwriting specialist.
Which is the dumbest science babble nonsense ever. Like he takes these two handwriting things to a handwriting analysis scientist or whatever he's supposed to be, and he's saying this bullshit like, well, the loop in her L's tells me that this girl doesn't like to play by the rules. And I'm like, what? And then
as you can see by the O, she's reaching out, like because of it's spaced out. She's reaching out for very lonely person.
Yeah, it indicates loneliness. He said clearly these signatures were done by two very different people. And then Nathan, what is the other thing he says?
Oh, but he says if you put these two ladies in the same room, you're gonna have one heck of a party.
Zing!
Well, I'm off to the saddest street fair ever. Two fucking rides in this entire street fair. A Ferris wheel and like, I don't know, like a spinny cart thing that you just kind of offhandedly see at the end of everything that happens after the sad Ferris wheel.
I was waiting to see if they were at Exhibition Park Raceway.
No, that was like downtown Vancouver. The worst part about this is out in Vancouver, there is a whole dedicated theme park with Ferris wheels and rides and everything that they could have used to shoot this, and it would have looked like a very impressive fair. What are we gonna do? We'll get some tents and throw up a Ferris wheel. It'll look great. No, it won't.
But Nathan, they only had checks notes $100 million.
Fuck.
I think it's just crazy that they managed to take $100 million and make it look like 20. I think that's an accomplishment. I think that's really great. So
they save, like, because the Ferris wheel, they're on brakes, and Detective Lone has to climb down to stop the Ferris wheel to try to like fix things. But while it's happening, this kid is falling out of one of the carriages. She has to climb down the Ferris wheel to save this kid, which she does, and delivers him to his mother, played by Brooke Thies from Just the 10 of Us and Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the Dream Master.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Josh, what were you gonna say?
I'm just gonna say I'm not someone who gets on rants of things like anti-capitalism or anti-socialism or anything like that. But doesn't it kind of irk you that you find out that Catwoman was made for $100 million when there's like people starving in the world? Like, it's not like it was like for Catwoman, like there's people eating crickets somewhere because Catwoman got $100 million. Like if someone was like, yeah, like they spent, $150 million to make Spider-Man, you're like, well, yeah, it's fucking Spider-Man.
And it made a gajillion dollars back.
Right. But for Catwoman, you're like, what?
Well, Josh, if it makes you feel any better, it made $82.1 million.
So it almost made its budget back.
Yeah, just the production budget.
Yeah.
So yeah, they managed to save the day. She saves the kid because she's a cat, so she can't save the cat. And she already saved the cat. And then she finds Laurel. She goes to see Laurel, and they have a very breathy conversation, which I really thought was funny. Like they're very like, yes.
She breaks into the place, and
yeah.
Laurel assaults her with a golf club. Yeah.
Well, she does it first, and then she's like, wait a second. I can help you. You know, I'll reveal you the formula for my husband's beauty cream that he made, and I'm totally with you. We're in this together, 100%.
Sisters are doing it for themselves.
This was after Catwoman threw her down a very large flight of stairs,
and then batted her like a toy while she was falling down the stairs.
Yep.
Catwoman was offended that this girl swung a golf club at her because she broke into her mansion.
Yeah, how dare she? Also, she swats her in the face and knocks her down, which doesn't make any sense considering what we find out later. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Catwoman does go to the opera and confronts George. And this is crazy. She goes up to him and says, you know, I know you murdered Patience. But why would George think that Patience is dead if he clearly saw her the day after she supposedly got murdered?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? You must be a complete fucking moron if this person's like, you murdered this woman, and you're like, but I saw her the next day. Well, I guess I murdered her. Like, you know she's alive. Like, why wouldn't you question that for one hot second?
No, she's alive. She was at work just the other day. I fired her.
I chewed her ass out. Trust me, I didn't kill her. But no, he just like, huh?
You killed Patience? What? She got depressed and suicidal after I fired her? That's what you mean, right?
Exactly, like something, right? But he does manage to get away, and then Benjamin Bratt arrives on the scene. They have their little sexy cat and mouse game.
Oh, they have a fight in the catwalk.
A cat fight in the catwalk?
In the catwalk.
And she does this like cartoon thing where she's behind his back and like moving with him when he moves, so he can't see her. Some super unsexy dialogue between them two, where she says at one point, "Don't I get din din first?" I'm like, no, I don't like that. He does manage to cuff her, but she easily fights out, licks his face, and takes off.
He was also dangling at one point, where he's just holding on to the catwalk, and he's like several feet in the air, where if he fell, he would definitely die. Mm-hmm. And while he's dangling and hanging on for dear life, he looks at her and goes, "You're under arrest."
He's very confident. He's very confident.
So I don't think you're in a position to make that decision right now, Benjamin.
Yeah, he's got that bold detective energy.
It's like you're It's like you're laying down bleeding out, and you're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna kill you so good."
I like the confidence.
Holding your head in your hand, and you're like, "Oh, wait till you get a load of me." I like also how this movie is so stupid. So when the cops arrive, there's a bunch of other cops that arrive, and she says like, "Can you see it? Can you see in the dark?" "I can," and then like breaks the fuses or whatever, and then like escapes in the dark. I like how this movie is so stupid that they don't even just stop at her saying, "Can you see in the dark?" They have to have her say, "I can," so we know that the whole bit is that Catwoman could see in the dark because she's a cat.
Right.
And that they didn't just wildly shoot.
Yeah,
as soon as she clearly hinted that she was going to run.
We get a huge reveal at this point because Laurel is talking to George. She's taunting him, calling him less than a man, and he tries to smack her, and apparently her face is made out of steel. And I'm like, wait a second, when was this part of the movie? And we find out that like this fucking concoction, this cream, actually makes you like a superhero, but if you stop taking it, your face is deformed. So two things: why are they marketing the superhero formula to the populace? And number two, why don't they sell this shit to the army? That's that military technology. You'd probably make a ton of money off like a military contract. Get Tony Stark on that shit.
Up until now, this was the perfect movie, and now you've ruined it for me.
I'm sorry. But I do think it's weird that they make this reveal.
Did they
an hour and 15 minutes into this movie?
Yeah. So did they explain that? Like I know they show it. I know that it shows her get punched in the face and it has no effect. But did she actually explain that? Hey, the cream made my face. But was it here? I know she does later.
No, she does. No. She explains it later.
Okay, yeah, because I had that in my notes that they literally waited for 10 minutes left.
But that's the thing. It's one of the few times where the movie actually kind of expects us to be able to put two and two together, because earlier, Brendan had mentioned, when she was pissed off about her husband, dipping out on her with this new supermodel, she breaks a glass in her hand and then looks at her hand and she hasn't cut her hand. Meaning that her skin was impervious to the glass shards. And then when he smacks her and she just takes the hit and doesn't feel a thing, she says something like excellent. It's like it didn't hurt her.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to put it together, and then like later on,
yeah.
all the latecomers, they explain it like word for word.
Right. I know that we're supposed to put it together at that point where she gets hit and she's fine. I couldn't remember if she also verbally explained it here or not, because I thought it was so funny that they literally, with 10 minutes left in the movie, she's like, oh, by the way, if you use this cream repeatedly, it turns your face to marble. If you stop using it, you die.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know. Like, you didn't have to explain it with 9 minutes left or whatever.
So the next time we see Oscar-winning actor Halle Berry is when she's eating sushi like a maniac because she's a cat and she likes fish. And she's on a date with Tom, and he's like asking about her job as an artist. Like, what's it like being an artist? But he does that thing where like you ask someone what they do, but you just kind of stare at them, be like, I think you're perfect. It's like, you didn't hear anything I just said, did you?
Just waiting for his turn to talk.
Right. Patience is just about to reveal who she is to the world's biggest idiot, but the rain interrupts him, and they run under the covering and have a very awkward like makeout session. You could tell just from this scene. I thought anyway, watching the scene, there was like no chemistry whatsoever. Like neither of them looked like they wanted to kiss each other.
She also hates rain. She made that very clear.
She makes it very clear, yeah.
Another cat thing. Tom, at this point, they have sex, by the way, off screen. Off-screen PG-13, you don't see anything. Tom then goes to do more analysis. He matches the lipstick on the glass she was drinking from with the kiss he had on his face. I actually thought it was the lick he had on his face. And I was like, have you not washed your face since then? But he matches them, and it's like, it's an exact match, 99.9% certainty. So he's like, oh, Catwoman, she's Catwoman. Meanwhile, Catwoman goes back to see Laurel again, and she's like, yeah, we're going to take down my husband. Here we go. We're going to take down this whole company. He's so corrupt. Oh, wait, look, he's totally dead. And here's a gun. And she throws a gun to Catwoman, who for some reason catches it. And also, she's got gloves on. Why is she worried?
She can't really leave fingerprints.
She can't. Yeah. And she frames Catwoman for George's death. And she put like cat claw marks on him and stuff. And then her security team, by the way, is there immediately. Like as soon as she sounds the alarm, they're like in the room.
Oh yeah, just hired good people.
It's like I don't know if they were
if they were in the next room like playing poker or something.
You're playing fucking backgammon or something, yeah. So I also don't know like why would you frame Catwoman with a gun? Like she's not exactly known for shooting people.
Well, because the first guy was killed with a gun.
Which
the scientist, remember they blamed her
right
for killing, and he was shot. So you have to shoot him with the same gun to prove the pattern, I guess.
I just think it's so weird that they try to frame her with a gun. It's like trying to frame like Batman with a gun, like just a pistol,
or Freddy Krueger with a gun. I mean,
yeah, or Jason Voorhees, framing Jason Voorhees. That's what Making a Murderer was all about, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I think that's what the general gist of it is.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last episode, but I think that's how it ended. So Tom figures out, obviously, he knows who Catwoman is now. He has her arrested, which she just goes along with willingly. And she's trying to like plead her case and how Laurel is trying to cover up a conspiracy and she's taken over the company. But she's sitting in her jail cell. She's visited by Midnight the cat, and she just goes between the bars. But it didn't look like she was using cat powers. It just looked like she was.
Well, she kind of is.
Kind of.
We can back up real quick. She does make an excellent point to Midnight when she says, Lassie would have brought me a key. And she does use her cat powers here because the only way that she would be able to get through the bars is if she collapsed her skeleton a little bit and then wiggled out. Cats can do that sort of thing.
Well, and some people, if they try real hard. Josh tells me stories. Meanwhile, Laurel launches her product, or gets ready to launch the product. She's got her private gathering.
Like a middle of the night press conference, which is exactly when you want to do that sort of thing.
As you do. You got your 2 a.m. press conferences when everyone's awake. But Tom interrupts her all alone, and he says, I just want to talk to you for a second. And he's telling her, like, I have he basically tricks her into revealing that obviously she's the one behind this, because he says, "Oh, you need me to make the evidence disappear? You need me to bury that?" And she's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." Aha! You are the villain. It's like, how did you fall for that? Everybody in this movie is a goddamn moron. But anyway, Catwoman shows up. They're running through the building to
she
escape.
wrecks all the trucks to stop the cream from going out to the stores. She she hooks up a chain to all the axles on the trucks and just plows off of them and takes the front axle off of every fucking truck in the yard.
Yep. Catwoman finally has her big confrontation with Laurel. She reveals that she's Patience. What? And the one that Laurel, I guess, sort of killed before she was reborn as a cat woman. And then, like Josh said, this is the verbalizing of the twist 5 minutes from the ending, where Laurel says, you have skin like marble, but if you stop using it, it will start to disintegrate. And again, it is crazy that they just like finally say what it is at this point in the movie.
Oh, and that you won't feel anything, despite the fact that there are several times during this fight where she takes shots and she's like,
And earlier in the movie too, there was a time when Catwoman fucked her up earlier, before she was like, "Oh, let's be friends." She totally like smashed Sharon Stone in the face and like knocked her down.
Maybe she's selling there. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
She's working her.
She's working her. Yep, must be. Fight scene has some of the worst editing again. Just like again, we don't know what's going on. No, worse than that though. Like I was just like, where are we? At some points I was like, I don't know where we are right now. I'm scared. And then the worst fake glass ever, because you can see it, like she gets knocked through the window and you can literally see the glass wobbling. Like you can see wobbling in the wind. Sharon Stone is about to knock her out with the building, and she says, "Game over." To which Catwoman responds, "Guess what? It's overtime."
Ugh.
The makeup starts to wear off, and Catwoman.
No, the makeup doesn't wear off. She actually manages to break through with the claws.
Oh, I thought she just hadn't put it on in a while, and that she was finally doing damage.
Because she's got the diamond encrusted claws. They're able to cut glass. They'd be able to cut through marble.
So diamond cuts marble?
If it cuts glass, I assume it would do some stuff to marble.
Okay. Well, yeah. So she scratches up Sharon Stone's face. Sharon Stone ends up like dangling on like this whatever off the side of the building. She catches her reflection in the glass, and that momentary thing just distracts her, and she falls to her death. Catwoman does try to save her. They do try to do the whole like, oh, I'm not gonna actually
give me your hand.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna actively kill you, but she falls to her death.
At least she didn't feel it.
I thought for sure she was going, like when she saw that her face got a little scratch on it, I thought she was going to willingly drop.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be like
so vain.
Right. She probably thinks
songs about her.
Yeah, she is so vain that she couldn't stand to have a scratch on her cheek, so she would rather plummet to her death.
By the way, Hans Gruber had a less dramatic fall than Sharon Stone.
She did like 15 flips on the way down.
It was like the best acrobatic act I've ever seen, with the worst ending, because obviously she goes splat. So we cut away from that. We see that Alex Borstein is now living with her doctor, which is super unethical.
Real quick, well, we can get to that because I have thoughts. But I mean, there's the part where at the end, now Laurel's dead, and Detective Lone is talking to Catwoman. He's like, if you get you back to your cell, and no one will know that Patience is Catwoman. They have a hard time proving it because Catwoman was out here kicking ass while you were in your cell. Crooked motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately Catwoman saves the day, so she's not a villain.
Rex Banner would have been upset.
I mean, she did steal a motorcycle and a car.
Exactly.
But dude, that guy's music was loud.
And a one-of-a-kind
necklace. And ruined it and made like pretty kitty
a weapon
fingers out of it.
They were blood diamond smugglers. And then the last thing, I know you want to talk about Alex Borstein's subplot, but I just want to mention the last thing besides that is Catwoman writes a letter, drops off a letter to Tom, and she basically like, I can't be with you because I'm just like, we're not in each other's worlds, man. And I'm like, really? You both fight crime. It seems like a natural fit to me. But alas, she has to be her own individual Catwoman.
Because sometimes she's bad.
And sometimes
but only
she's
as
good.
bad as she wants to be.
Yeah, and Tom is all alone. What were you going to say about Alex Borstein, Nathan?
Oh, just how she managed to land her doctor, because like the parting shot is her doctor like feeding her strawberries and kissing her on the forehead. And I mean, not since Monkey Bone have I seen such a flagrant disregard of the Hippocratic Oath and the ethics in the medical community.
And we've talked about quite a few movies like that. Even like even with Josh, you were here for when we talked about Spawn and the unethical doctors in that.
And fucking Batman Forever.
Yeah, all over this place.
Just doctors, loose morals. That's what I think of when I think of doctors.
In general.
Yes.
Well, there you go. There's Catwoman. Folks, our rating system. We'll go through it again. I'll start with Josh because you're our guest. Josh Kotsabasakis. Is this movie worth a watch, a drunk watch with friends? Would you attempt head trauma to forget it or avoid like the plague?
I'm going to go with drunk watch with friends. Not because it's good.
No, I mean, that doesn't mean it's good.
Right. Not because you'll have some type of enjoyment out of it, but it's like almost like a landmark where this movie was so notoriously bad. Like people long before I watched it for this, people said to me, "Oh, you've never seen Catwoman?" Almost like you got to experience it.
Yeah.
So I'll say drunk watch with friends.
Alrighty, Nathan, what do you say?
I'm gonna say attempt head trauma to forget it. It didn't offend me to my core. I wasn't just so put off by it. Like, I mean, asking questions like, why was this goddamn thing made? But there were things about it. Like, I mean, when it was first coming out and I heard they were making a Catwoman movie, I was kind of stoked about it when I first heard, because I was like, oh, I love a good anti-hero movie, like The Punisher, Venom, stuff like that. And so when I didn't get to see it in theaters, thank God I didn't pay theater money for it, but I did manage to see it when it came out on DVD. And I was like, okay, so that's not Selena Kyle. Okay, so it's not Gotham. Like, no. And then by then I was just like, fuck this movie. And I still feel like this way. Fuck this movie. But I don't feel it needs to go on the list. But I would definitely attempt head trauma to forget it.
All right. Well, little did you know, Gotham City was located in the heart of British Columbia.
Right down the lower mainland.
I'm gonna say a drunk watch here too. I think this. I was like dreading rewatching this movie because I have seen it once or twice before. But this is I don't know. It's kind of a hoot. It's terrible, but I got quite a few laughs out of it, and it's just something so funny about seeing Halle Berry doing all this like ridiculous cat stuff, like with the catnip and the tuna and just her cat mannerisms just make me laugh. And it's just ridiculous. So I would totally get a little toasty and watch this thing with some friends. Okay. But on that note, folks, we are going to take a bit of a break here. We're going to listen to some sponsors, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
NPR bot, initiate protocol.
Bleep bloop blorp bleep blop haiku mode.
We're back.
Yes, we are back.
Yes. And we will be waxing poetical at this point.
And our chest hair.
Because you want your memories to be as smooth as your poetries.
Thanks for the memories, indeed.
So we've come to the low haiku portion of the show. Brandon, would you like to explain what the low haiku is?
Sure thing. The low haiku is 17 perfect syllables that break down the film we just broke down.
Okay. And kind of made us have a bit of a breakdown.
Sure. Yeah.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
So Josh, as our guest, we would defer to you to start off this poetry slam.
Thank you. Catwoman is bad. Really, really bad. Not good. Next time, rollerball?
Very good. Very good.
Again, I'd just like to point out, as I do to Josh every time he's here, we have done rollerball. It's
not
on
the
feed.
Not the James Caan version.
R.I.P. By the way.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Ricky.
Sad. Okay. Nathan, would you like to read your low haiku?
I would be happy to. The fuck is this shit? Well, she's not Selena Kyle. Iken has good film. Thank you. Brendan, please do send us on home with your haiku.
Sure. My letters say things, indicate loneliness, fear. No, wait, that's stupid.
Very good.
Thank you. And the
NPR put initiate exit protocol, please.
Blurp. And we're out.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Done.
NPR bot.
You're welcome.
Iken has burger.
Sure. Give me a Milos to get you one.
So there we go. That is a low haiku. Folks, we talked about this movie. We gave our opinions, but what do we always say, Nathan?
Well, we are often fond of saying,
Don't take a word for us.
That's right. That's what we say. We tell people not to take our word for it. Nathan, surely on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics were raving about this superhero film.
I don't know, man. I think it's more like they might have been ranting about this thing. I think 9% from the critics out of 198 reviews.
So under 20 critics said this was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, now the audience. I know this. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. They didn't like it.
18% out of over 250,000 ratings said it was, passable.
Seems high.
So it does. And maybe they were too. But hey, you know what? If you liked this one, you might also like The Scorpion King, starring Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Coming soon, possibly.
Yeah. The Man in the Iron Mask.
Didn't realize that movie was so hated.
I didn't either. Elektra.
Did know that movie was hated.
Yeah. Godzilla or Gino,
Been
as
there,
a lot
done
of
that.
folks like to call it.
Yep.
And finally, Bad Boys, the original Bad Boys, which I get the audience, but it's weird that the critics didn't really care for that all that much. I love that fucking movie.
42's not too bad, but and there's only 64 reviews it looks like, but
okay.
Yeah. But you prefer the second one, obviously.
Fuck that.
Third one's pretty good though, legit.
It was alright.
Okay, so that's what the people are saying. Well, yeah. That's what I might like. Well, let's see. Let's take a look at the critics here. Okay. Nathan, I've got First critic is Bruce Dion's of the New Yorker, who simply says, "Another $100 million down the drain." And apparently not helping the people that are eating crickets, like Josh said.
Okay, well, my first one is from Noah Berlatsky of the Chicago Reader, and he says, obviously no one involved in this disaster cares anything at all about Catwoman. 1 out of 4.
There you go.
This is Brian Gill from Mad About Movies podcast. He gave it an F.
Oh.
I loved basketball more than anything in the world until I watched the basketball scene in Catwoman. Now I hate basketball.
Okay.
Okay, this one is from Debbie Lynn Elias from Behind the Lens, but like I say often on this podcast, I think it's actually from Jean Shalit. She says, Catwoman makes me want to go meow. It can't slink from theaters fast enough for me.
Okay.
And she wrote that in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the
15 years after it left.
I feel like that date is not right though, because they all say like fairly recent. I think that may be just when it was taken.
Time they digitized it, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ken Hankey, we haven't heard from in a while.
He loves it.
Well, he's from the Mountain Express in Asheville, North Carolina, and he writes, if you're going to junk the character, then why not just flip through a dictionary and pick a new animal altogether? Say, aardvark woman or buffalo gal. 1.5 out of 5.
Excellent.
I wonder what he liked about it. We've got a 0.5.
Probably Sharon Stone's committed performance.
And those hips don't lie.
They don't. I've asked them. They said they don't. But can you trust a liar who says they don't lie?
Well.
Come at us on Twitter. Let us know.
I'm going to go with Tim Brayton from Antagony and Ecstasy. Provides a safety net for every person who ever directs a superhero movie for the rest of time. Well, that completely sucked, but it was no Catwoman. 1 out of 10.
All right, this will be my last critics review. This is from Common Sense Media from Nell Minnow, and she simply says, "This movie is kitty litter." 1 out of 5.
All right. Well, my last one is from Linda Cook from the Quad City Times in Davenport, Iowa. But as Brendan said before, pretty sure it was Jean Shalit.
He's putting them all over the place.
Right. They wrote, "Me ouch. This is going to hurt Halle Berry's reputation as a serious actress." 1 out of 4.
This was the movie that, like, fuck the Razzies, honestly, but this was the movie where she actually went and accepted her Razzie.
Yes.
And she also, like, won an Oscar, I think that same year or the year before. The year before, I believe.
She won it the year before
for Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball, yeah. And then she won a Razzie for this. Yeah.
She seems like a cool chick to me.
Yeah.
Like, I get the sense that she knew it was crap while filming it. But, like, hey, it's fun. Like, I'm getting paid to have fun.
And I think the her showing up to the Razzies was her, like, kind of cutting it off at the knees.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be derided no matter what, right?
You know the Razzies, though. As soon as they find out someone is willing to come and get it, they're like, okay, that's our winner.
Well, send us home, Josh, before we head to the audience.
All right. This is from Leah Rosen of People Magazine. If cats, the snootiest of creatures, went to the movies, they would be appalled and mortified. What did they ever do to deserve having their good name and mannerisms dragged through such dingbat fluff as this?
Damn. Right to the core. Okay, well, guys, we heard from the professional critics. Let's dive into the cesspool of Rotten Tomatoes, the audience reviews. Okay. My first one is going to be from Harpo D, not Harpo M. So
Okay.
I was shocked, and clearly he didn't dictate this review if it was Harpo M. But Harpo D says, Couldn't even get through half of the film, almost fell asleep. Probably DC's worst film. Would be 0.5 stars, but the scene where Selina was saving the cat and the police officer thought she was committing suicide was pretty funny. 1 star.
He means patience.
Oh, yeah. Well.
My first one comes from Chris F. I can only assume it's Chris Farley. The late Chris Farley. He writes,
not the living one?
Not the living one, no.
Okay.
He writes, I was blackmailed into watching this. Please don't let this go down on my permanent record. Why did a scene in the office have 50 jump cuts? Why does Catwoman have superpowers like this is some weird knockoff Spider-Man? I feel unclean watching this. Someone help me. Call the authorities ASAP if you're reading this. 0.5 out of stars.
Let's go with Otaku L.
Okay.
1 out of 5. Did they actually think they were going to trick people into thinking they'd be seeing Selina Kyle?
Yes.
I mean, I thought so when I heard the name. The name of the movie, I just assumed, and I was like, "Oh, Halle Berry's playing her. Well, that's cool. Yeah, whatever. I'm excited. The origin story, and how wrong we all were." Okay, this one is from Savvy P, who gives it 5 stars. I love it. The storyline was different. I don't know why people think it's such a terrible movie.
So my next one comes from Kevin P, and I can only assume that's Kevin Pollock.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes, an absolutely terrible movie. The story is useless, the acting is corny, and the CGI is among the worst I've ever seen. It's not even the good kind of bad that becomes entertaining. 0.5 out of stars.
Oh, disagree with your last sentence, Kevin Pollock.
Yeah, Kevin, relax. This is Ryan V. Halle Berry is the lone bright spot, but even she can't save this laughable action thriller. 0.5 star.
Okay.
Pretty bad that when the lone bright spot is the star of the movie with the most screen time can't save the movie.
Yeah, and it's still 0.5 star.
Yeah.
we're at least give it a 1 for God's sakes. AJA says the best Catwoman movie ever. I used to binge watch this when I was a child. I wanted to be just like Catwoman. The visuals was amazing, and the fight scenes were radical ASF. That means as fuck for you older people in the crowd. Halle Berry was/is the best actress to portray Patience, aka Catwoman. No one, and I mean nobody, can take that away from her or take her spot as Catwoman. 5 fucking stars.
All right. So many notes. But I'll move on. My next one comes from Howard P, and I picked this one because I don't know if this is true. Josh is probably going to say yes or no, but his review is simply, they canceled a Batman v Superman movie in 2002 to make this. 0.5 out of stars. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true or not. I know that Batman versus Superman was planned around that time, but I don't know if that's accurate that Catwoman is the reason it didn't get made.
All right.
Let's pretend it is though, because it's funnier that way.
Okay. let's live the myth.
Carlos T. It was stupid, but my boyfriend didn't believe me. Now we are fighting because of that stupid movie.
Jeez, Carlos, get your shit in order, dude.
Oh.
1 out of 5.
Amazing. Okay, this review has me a little worried. This is from Burakas T, who says this was a revolutionary movie. It shaped the entire superheroes genre. The movie is about love, about the important things in life. The characters in the movie are being realistic, and we can identify oneself. I even tattooed the logo on my chick on the ass. But you can't see this. It's for my daughter only. If I could
What?
give this movie more stars, believe me, boy, oh boy, I would. 10 out of 10, 5 stars.
Okay.
There is a
tattoo on my-
lot to unpack.
Yeah,
I
that
think
tattoo
CPS should be called.
on my chick is just for my daughter to see. Okay, buddy. That's my last review.
All right. Well, my last review comes from Alex B, and I can only assume it's Alex Borstein. I actually love this movie. The special effects is the only thing I didn't like. Enjoyed the music and Barry's performance. 5 out of stars.
I especially liked her funny friend from work. My last one is from Mutaz Agent. Sorry, fellas, but it does not bode well for this episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Half a star out of 5. You'll enjoy watching some of this film, but it would be tiring to make fun of something for 100 minutes.
I beg to differ, sir.
I had a good time doing it. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, there we go. Those are the reviews. So I guess we move on now. We talk about something that brings us joy in life, intentionally brings us joy in life. We talk about good movies. We talk about good shows. We talk about good stuff we're doing. We talk about it's the what you watching, bud. So, Josh, as our guest, I'll ask you first. What you been watching, bud?
What you watching, bud? I don't know what you're watching, bud. I'll tell you so. Do, 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 do.
I got a few things on the go right now. I think I plugged it last time I was on, but The Boys season 3 has been great.
Mm-hmm.
Been really enjoying this season. If you're not checking out The Boys, you should do so. The show, I mean.
Oh, you check out The Boys if you want.
If you check out The Boys, I don't care what you do, but the show is what I meant.
Josh is just like, my recommendation is to look out the window at some hunks outside.
Go watch this movie and check out Benjamin Bratt. So yes, The Boys Only Murders in the Building is back, which is a fun show. Martin Short is hilarious. Well, they're all funny in it, but Martin Short especially. If you want a good comic book movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness just dropped on Disney Plus.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And then aside from that, again, for the comic book fans out there, it's actually a YouTube show. It's about, each episode is about 20 to 25 minutes long. And it's just it's a guy who runs a local comic book shop. And a buddy of his just comes into his shop with a camera and just records the interactions that go on in the comic shop throughout the day.
Okay.
And it's kind of like I'd equate it to like almost going like if you go and you hang out in your own local comic shop and you just kind of talk about comic book movies, comic books that are on the shelf right now, you know, artists that you like, writers that you like. It's like that. It's like you're standing in your own comic shop, just kind of watching the interactions that go on in a comic shop throughout the day.
What's this called again?
This is called The Comic Book Palace on YouTube.
Okay.
They had a documentary made about them in 2013, and then they did a web series on YouTube from 2013 till 2020, and it just came back again in January, I believe, of 2022. Where they started doing new episodes again, but it's a lot of fun.
All right, well, Josh, that's what Josh is watching. What about you there, Nathan? What you watching, bud?
Well, this past weekend I managed to take in some of GCW's weekend of wrestling, and I'm gonna point out their opening night one, which was on the Thursday. GCW's DOA, which was held in Knights of Columbus Hall. It's a pretty wild show. It's not a WWE event or an AEW event, that's for goddamn sure. This was the one, I don't know if you guys have heard, there was a dude named Hoodfoot who got cut and they had to stop a death match because he got cut so deeply in the opening minutes. Other than that, though, the event was fun and crazy. Alex Shelley was on there, and he put over one of the young up-and-comer GCW guys who actually, that match wasn't a death match. It was just a straightforward, like it was a three-way dance. But he took the pin and put this young kid over, which I thought was really cool. And, I mean, if you're into barbarism, I mean, the whole top of the card is all death matches, and there was just a lot of insane stuff going on. So, GCW.
All right, wrestling.
Yeah.
What I've been watching is now I've been watching through. I have a whole list of shows that I'm curious about and I want to watch through, and I take my time. I watch like an episode every day or like a couple episodes a day if I can. And I started watching a show called Search Party, and I was not planning on watching it this quick, but I went through it in like 2 weeks, maybe a little less than that. But it's this great show with Aaliyah Shawkat. You probably know her as maybe from Arrested Development, but her and her three friends find out that there's this missing girl that they all kind of sort of knew back in high school, but it's very exciting. And Aaliyah Shawkat kind of has like a boring life. Her name is Dory in the show, so Dory kind of has like a boring life, and she's like, well, why don't we find out what's going on? Let's see if we can find this missing girl. Let's see if we can solve this mystery. So, and then from that point on, the seasons just get crazier and crazier. Like that is the plot of like season 1, and then season 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 10 episodes per season. They're about 20 minutes long each. It just escalates and escalates and escalates, and it's a great mix of like dark like black comedy, the blackest of comedy, and thriller, and there's some like courtroom drama stuff, and it's created by Michael Showalter, so it's got some real talent behind it as well. And yeah, so Search Party is what I've been watching, and I finished it, and it's great, so watch it.
Cool.
So on that note, Josh, anything you wanna plug?
Same as usual. Check out my buddy Travis Boyce, stand-up comedian from here in the Maritimes. Funny guy, good guy.
Screen time guy on AEW's Forbidden Door.
Yeah, he was featured on AEW television.
And your tables, go to Josh. He makes them tables.
Yes, comic book tables. Take actual comic books and I make a collage, paste them, laminate them onto a coffee table. I've had mine now for 5 years. No sign of wear or tear on it at all.
There you go. Well, thank you, Josh, for being on the show once again.
You're welcome.
And Nathan, you have anyone standing by that wants to promote anything in particular?
Yes, I shall bring him on. Just give me one moment. Okay. Hello! It's a good friend, Montrose Merkington III here. I would like to invite you all to check out my YouTube channel, Montrose Merkington TV, where I have actually also reviewed some GCW stuff as of late. In fact, the very event that Nathan was talking about, it was a bit much for this poor chimp, but a deep, dark part of me kind of enjoyed it as well. So take that for what it will. You can also be friends with me on the Facebook group Montrose Merkington III Esquire and Friends. And if you wish to tweet at me about wrestling or AEW, GCW, WWE, I'm open to hearing opinions. Maybe not necessarily agreeing with all of them though. You can do that on my Twitter at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Montrose, once again.
You're welcome.
You can also find us all over the podcasting universe. We're on all the podcast apps. Just search for What Were They Thinking. Our home base, though, of course, is Age of Radio.
Big time.
And you can head to ageofradio.org/What Were They Thinking. Social media, we're on social media too. You can find us on Facebook. Again, just search for us. We're on Twitter at WWTT Podcast. Instagram, same handle. Check us out. We're all over the place. Patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. Sign up for some fun stuff there. But all that aside, Nathan, I'm assuming you have maybe a few queries about Catwoman.
Yeah, you got a few.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, in a movie that is apparently based on a character with a deep history rooted in comics,
Mm-hmm.
and with a character that has had several women portray her up to this point.
A couple of perfect ones.
Exactly, Eartha. And in a movie where you have the opportunity to make a breakout female anti-hero who can be like a badass chick but standing up for right, and you don't use Selena Kyle or any sort of relation to Batman or Gotham whatsoever, I gotta know.
Mm-hmm.
What were they thinking?
What a catastrophe.
A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay, and he walked away, but his smile never dimmed. Said, I'm gonna be like him, yeah, you know I'm gonna be like him. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon,